This 1 Degree Outside video is sponsored by the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair. You can pre-order your admission, meal, and ride tickets today at topsfieldfair.org and join the fun October 4th through 14th, conveniently located on Route 1, just off of Interstate 95.
Hi, Matt Noyes, Coastal Marine Forecast heading into the weekend. We're starting to get to that time of the year where it's harder and harder to get out there, but I know a lot of us like to leave the boats in the water until sometime in October, so we'll continue to provide you with these weekend marine forecasts. And the big story about today is, look, we're making the transition into fall where we get the fall gales, right? So this is not the weekend to be out there on the pleasure craft boat for most of us, unless you're going to be in a protected bay, harbor, sound, or inlet. That's a totally different story. But nonetheless, what we're talking about are water temperatures that actually have stayed stable over the last week since I was last with you, heading into last weekend. Actually, they've come up a little bit along the southern coast of Maine, but bottom line, lower to mid-60s for a lot of us on the water temps here. Of course, that was enough to bring in the fog when we got some of that more humid air that was coming in earlier this week, right? Now we're still dealing with the humid air and the showers that'll be around on Saturday. There'll be a number of showers still popping up, unless you're at the coast of Maine. Actually, things are quieter at the coast of Maine. Not quiet, but quieter anyway. And that's because you've got a northeast wind that's coming in. So really, most of the fetch, or the wind across the water, is coming into portions of southern New England rather than across the coastline of northern New England. But it's still a pretty good. These are sustained winds, not gusts, that are blowing out there during the course of the day Saturday. By Sunday, the wind backs down a bit. It's still onshore, which means the waves really don't back down very much. By the time we get along about Monday and Tuesday, things quiet down a little bit as high pressure moves overhead. So you'll find the seas slowly coming down with that. Look, there are high surf advisories. There are rip current advisories. There's coastal flood advisories. I'm not going to cover each of them individually for two reasons. One, you can find them in our app, and it'll be specific to your location. Noyce's 1 Degree Outside weather app. The other one is they're going to change from day to day, and I want this to hold over the weekend for you. So instead, I kind of give you the meteorological picture, and then you can kind of use our app to get whatever localized advisories are up for you. But bottom line, some minor coastal flooding and a number of high tide cycles through Saturday. It may be moderate on the north side of Cape Cod, south end of Cape Cod Bay, with that northeasterly wind that blows in. Here's your predicted wave height on Saturday. We'll zoom in a minute, but bottom line, I mean, it's not enjoyable out there, and it's not safe for pleasure craft boaters who are in a small craft anyway, and that certainly is the case on Sunday too. If you have a larger boat, you know what you're doing. It's a different story, but nonetheless, if you're going out on a commercial fishing trip, something like that, and they're going, just make sure you do that Dramamine. I think you're going to be glad you did, or whatever you take for motion sickness and you prefer, because that's going to be the case. I mean, even into Monday, look at these seas on Monday and Tuesday still built up about 4 to 6 feet or so, and higher when you get out to the fishing grounds. I can zoom in a little bit. Same coloring on the seas here, where the yellow is the beginning of 10-foot seas. It's pretty substantial, right? 12-foot seas are sitting east of Nantucket and east of the National Seashore. These are sustained winds during the day on Saturday. Now, admittedly, the closer you get to shore, right, the lower those waves are. And that's why I say if you're in Narragansett Bay or if you're in Buzzards Bay right near the coast, you're in a whole different setup. By the time we get to Sunday, those 10-footers start to ease off to the south and east a little bit. You've got 8 to 10 feet still when you get either side of Nantucket, and then you start dropping off again the closer into the south coast that you get. And that's really important to note. I mean, it's the same thing for a lot of our eastern waters, too. There's a lot of power in these waves, right? Rip currents at the beaches. You do not want to mess with these things. That's going to come into Boston Harbor, too. But admittedly, once you're inside the mouth of the Merrimack River, right, if you're, I'm not so optimistic on Cape Cod Bay, because we all know with a north-northeast wind, you're going to bring some of that wave action into the bay, and you can kind of see that even into Sunday for that matter as well. And along the coast of Maine, again, we saw how things are a little bit quieter, but once again, I think you have to be in the protected bays and sounds in order to avoid some of the swell, anyway, that's coming at you, because there is plenty of swell that's coming across the open ocean. And there you go with 8 to 10-foot seas, just a short distance offshore, at about 6 to 8 feet when you make your way across some of the main islands. So, again, it's a busy weekend out of the water. It's not really a safe one if you have a small craft, but nonetheless, we're talking about our app if you want to get the up-to-date details, and you can pinpoint that location. Once you set the location, pick a coastal town, and then take that, when you save it in the locations, hit the little 3 dots, do pinpoint, you can move that offshore to your favorite spot. Will you get waves? No. That's why I bring you this. Will you get wind, temperature, weather conditions? Absolutely. Yeah, you'll get that all with Noyce's 1 Degree Outside weather app, App Store, and Google Play. Be careful out there. Make it a great weekend. See you again later on at onedegreeoutside.com.